Hey, you ever wonder what would happen if Klaus Nomi and Devo watched a double feature of Shock Treatment and Footloose and then decided to make a movie? Well, it basically happened back in 1984, except instead of Klaus Nomi, you got B-grade filmmaker Ulli Lommel, and instead of Devo, you got a Doors tribute band. You can't make this shit up. There are a lot of great musicals out there that a pretty hefty majority of the populace hasn't heard of. The Apple, Phantom of the Paradise, Meet the Feebles, Lichtomania, Rock and Rule. Basically, none of those are likely to come up organically at the family dinner table unless your family is like hella cool. Of course, you know what I'm talking about. You've seen these movies. You're big and hip into the cult and musical genre. You go to Rocky Horror Picture Show every Friday at midnight a year ago. And, generally speaking, you are the fan that knows every single solitary bit of musical trivia there is. But what if I told you, a person with a very refined, random bullshit palate, that there's a cult musical that you haven't seen? I mean, I guess you might have seen it because, it's a movie that exists, so maybe it doesn't matter. Strangers in Paradise. Not to be confused with the other 1984 film, Stranger Than Paradise, which makes Googling this fucking thing really annoying. Strangers in Paradise was a very personal film for Lommel, whose father was a radio DJ in Nazi Germany, and much like Lommel's character in this film, was forced to flee during, Nazi fucking Germany. The Nazis. You gotta get out of Dodge.
Jonathan, I beg you, leave this godforsaken island immediately.
I assume that he was a less psychic version of Lommel's character, though. I feel like they're not exactly the same. I feel like it's not a one-to-one comparison. Anyway, if you don't know Lommel's work, he's not, the most notable filmmaker, but he is notable within sort of the B, C grade genre cult lexicon, I guess. But he is also the guy who brought us DC Sniper and Zodiac Killer, so not a big deal if you don't know who this guy is. The point is, he is an eclectic figure. He made Tenderness of Wolves, he made Olivia, which we reviewed on this channel. He was a filmmaker who was a bit of a mixed bag. And, when I heard that he had made a musical film, I was like, oh, well, this could be bad. But it turns out, actually, it's pretty good. Now, I'm going to be spoiling this whole goddamn thing, so if you want to watch this fresh, please pause this video and go find it elsewhere. It's on YouTube. I'm not going to link to it because I feel like that's just going to lead to trouble, but it is available out there. If you do not want to watch it on YouTube, there's really not a whole lot of other options for it. It's available on VHS, but I have not been able to find it. You can also pick up bootlegs, but I wouldn't pay for bootlegs because only assholes pay for bootlegs. That said, this is one of those films like Let My Puppets Come where I don't think knowing the plot going in is going to negatively affect your experience. I think that no matter what, you'll still enjoy the songs and the weirdness, and if anything, this will just tell you whether or not it's the movie for you, because it's definitely for a niche audience, so, consider this a primer on a movie you might love. Or not, I don't know. People have different opinions about things. Anyway, let's dig into 1984's anti-fascist would-be cult musical, Strangers in Paradise.
Relax and let your mind soar. Release your inner fears. You got the power.
We open on some colorful stills from the film we're about to watch, which include a music credit for noted Doors cover band Moonlight Drive, while the earworm centerpiece of the film plays. Thus preparing us for the hypnotic ride Ulli has in store. Then bam! Berlin, 1939, and motherfucking Hitler shows up asking famed mesmerist Jonathan Sage to use his astonishing gift to help bring the world to its knees. See, Jonathan, also played by Ulli Lommel, this is a dual role, he plays both our hero and Hitler, so, exciting. He, based on what we're seeing, can just control anybody's mind at will. He just has this magical ability. There's nothing like, he's not like waving anything around. He just looks at you, gets you in the eyes, and boom, controlled. Which is interesting because it's not really how his mind control entirely works throughout the film, But in this moment, Hitler just turns around to stop from actually being affected by the mesmerization on display. It's a weird scene.
I'm afraid there's some bad news. Jonathan Sage has escaped to England.
After Sage's escape to England, we're treated to yet another earworm in this English club. Which reminds me a lot more of Uncle Adams than I'd like to admit. Anyway, the scene's totally lit on account of the potentially anachronistic fluorescent tubes that are all around. You get it. One thing that pops up quite a bit here are songs that really don't serve much of a purpose to the overall plot. We never meet this singer again, so his self-confidence really doesn't mean anything to us. I guess he could be symbolic of England during the war, since we get numerous flashes to stock war footage, but I don't know. He just kind of shows up, sings, gives a kind of helpful speech to our main hero, and then fucks off forever, presumably dies, because we're not going to stay in this particular time period anyway.
Jonathan Sage!
But before the mesmerist can do his thing, the bombing starts, and Singing Symbolism Man tells Jonathan that he needs to get out of Dodge. That, I guess, convinces him, and so Sage gets cryogenically frozen.
Are you sure you want to go through with this? Yes, of course, Jonathan. You couldn't possibly allow yourself to be used by the fascists.
I'm not making this up. Dude knows he can't escape Hitler, who's going to use his powers for ill, so he just cryogenically freezes himself. Like I don't know, that's just what he does. No explanation for how he has this connection with a super scientist, nothing. He just gets freezer blasted and boom, we're in 1980s California, everything's in color, and adults across the land are communicating via an early form of the internet. Talk about whiplash. We enter a suburban hellscape. Punks are rampant. The squares don't care for them. Actually, let me just allow the film to explain the central conflict of the story.
Roxanne, do you hear me?
Mom, would you leave me alone? Just leave me alone.
We all have to try and live together. Why do you listen to that horrible, aggressive music anyway?
I don't think it's horrible. What can I say to you?
Dad and I were once young like you, Roxanne.
Please, Mom, give me a break, will you?
Oh, those damn squares clamping down on Gen X's groove. But this isn't some footloose baloney. Nah, the squares in this case don't ban dancing or try in vain to teach kids the meaning of hard work. No. They brainwash them with a machine called the repentagram. Wait, what?
Everything's cool. The kids just figured the band flaked out.
Well done, but I did.
What is all this stuff anyways?
Well, all the computer repentagram does is modify the behavior of our dear friends. We will send them on a little fantasy trip from which they hopefully return as better human beings. Nothing to worry about. It can only work out for the best.
This highly illegal activity is our main source of quick and easy musical numbers. Whenever the punk musicians that the parents have kidnapped are hooked up, we see through song and dance their initial mindset and how it's morphed through technology into a more square-savory demeanor. In our first example, what starts out as a punk anthem is transformed into a truly awful country tune.
Activate repentance mode.
Lost my way one time, now realize that I'm feeling safe with a stranger life of mine.
Unfortunately for our evil squares, the tech simply doesn't work, and the punks inevitably revert to their unsavory ways.
It'll work, I know it will. It'll just take a little more time.
These numbers are colorful and strange, but do suffer from some laziness in production and some confusing additions to the squares' list of grievances, like this sequence where they try to cure gambling. Which, I hate to break it to Ulli, but I live in Las Vegas. Squares love gambling. It's all squares over here. Just gambling all the time. I don't know a single square that doesn't like to gamble, so that's a weird one. But hey, I get it. Good people are good Christians, and good Christians don't gamble, so that's another brand of rapscallion they try and fail to transform. Finally, during a musical number that bears a strong resemblance to Thank God I'm a Man from Shock Treatment,
My heart in a whirl.
All I ever wanted was the world.
The squares learn of Sage just as randomly and conveniently as that big cryosleep plot point.
I've got this man who's been on ice. His magical powers are very, very nice. Very nice, very nice. His magical powers are very, very nice.
Another dance number, this one inspired by Devo, and Jonathan is back in the picture. And hey, only 36 minutes into the movie. So anyway, Jonathan's thawed out, and okay. I'm not going to say that Ulli Lommel knew how to make a great musical or even knew how to make a great movie. But you gotta admit, that's some weird shit. Jonathan is immediately introduced to TV by Larry Larkin, whose dad was the scientist who put Johnny Boy on ice.
You'll enjoy it. Have fun. It'll tell you everything you want to know.
Decoders will only work.
Jonathan becomes fascinated by this new world, in particular, rock and roll. However, that doesn't stop him from allowing the squares to use him to finally bring their grand fascist plan to fruition. With a nod of his noggin, Jonathan magically transforms a punk girl into a square. Before long, he's working through these kids like an assembly line.
Where have you been all my life? I've been waiting for you.
Soon, though, he starts to realize that what he's doing is wrong, which, it's never really explained why he doesn't immediately see the obvious link between the squares and the Nazis, beyond his brain being a little off due to the freezing process, which, to be fair, is more explanation than we get for anything else in the movie, so fair enough.
How do you feel?
I don't like these people very much.
While Jonathan is contending with his inner conflict, he starts to realize that his powers extend beyond what he thought possible. But enough of that shit, what about a bowling alley dance number? So Jonathan is tasked by one of the squares to help his daughter.
I haven't danced in a long while.
So what? All you have to do is feel the music. Just let it go through you. That's what it's about, really.
But she introduces him to bowling and video games and, I guess extremely inappropriate romance subplots.
What's wrong?
The noise.
It's from bomb shelter. Can't you relax? Can't you ever relax?
Which, yeah, we just cut to the next scene, so I'm assuming he goes balls deep into a teenager before heading off to investigate the square's evil plans, which... Sure, why not? Fuck it. Anywho, down under the suburbs, Jonathan and Larry discover a bunch of punks performing a musical number and explaining the dire situation they face.
But our day will come. Freedom will reign at last. A new day will dawn. The darkness will come to pass. A new light will shine.
Or something. Either way, it's another earworm, so, just put on your headset and enjoy, man.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel shining bright. I see the light, I see the light, I see the light, I see the light.
And guess what? We just dive immediately into another song and dance routine designed to be stuck in your noggin forever, in which Jonathan accepts that he's been bamboozled and laments that this is all the same old song and dance. And man, it's just as on the nose as you'd expect. Kidding, I'm kidding. It's a joke. I'm not actually kidding that much. Hi, Mr. Nazi Lommel. And what's even better about this is just how well it's aged. And by better, I mean depressing.
History does repeat itself. The writing's on the wall.
The squares decide they're going to utilize Jonathan to end depravity entirely by putting together a telethon. How they expect anyone to actually watch this telethon isn't explained, but hey, who expects explanations at this point? He's given a fancy cloak. Of course, this movie doesn't have the budget to shoot in, say, a big studio or whatever, so instead Lommel sets his big national telethon at a construction site.
Land of the free, home of the brave.
Huh. Now I'll give Lommel this. Strangers in Paradise is a film that seeks to combat fascism by taking on conformity in suburbia, so thematically it makes sense to set the finale in a place where the conformity is being literally built. But goddamn, it is just so cheap and ugly and not a good place to set a finale. But hey, that doesn't matter, because we get another earworm. Holy butts, that was amazing. So yeah, Jonathan uses the power of television to transform all the squares into punks and potentially take over the world? Suddenly that dual role as Hitler takes on a whole other, almost definitely unintentional meaning. And that's it. As the newly transformed squares dance around the construction site, Jonathan watches TV on some computer monitors and roll credits. Does he change the fate of the whole world? Does he become a couch potato? Does he keep balling that dude's teenage daughter? Who knows? Now, there are issues with Strangers in Paradise. Just my plot summary should give you that impression. There are only like 3 singers for all the characters, the dance numbers are often haphazardly choreographed and poorly lip-synced, and the social commentary is some of the most simplistic you're ever likely to find outside of an anti-drug PSA. So why is it the greatest cult musical you've never heard of? Simple. It's fucking weird. I wish I could give you some deep, complex explanation for my love of this dumb little obscurity, but the reality is it's just too weird not to enjoy. This is a musical where our lead doubles as Hitler for no discernible reason, and in the end controls the minds of potentially the entire world via television. Add to that, the songs are catchy as hell, and while the message doesn't completely hold water, it's actually oddly prescient. Hell, it's kinda Antifa the musical, which, again, pros and cons, but I'll be damned, I can't stop watching it. So yeah, it's a weird fucking movie that's oddly prescient, features the one and only Ulli Lommel in a starring role in a musical. Like, there's everything that you need as a cult film junkie right here in a single film, and it's readily available on YouTube at this moment. Now, that being said, obviously, VHS rip on YouTube, not going to be the best option. I get that. I agree. It kind of frustrates me. The soundtrack isn't really available anywhere. The VHS is hard to come by. So this is a message for the distributors out there. If there's anyone in charge of a boutique Blu-ray label who's watching this video, I don't think any of you are. Oh, I know one guy, but I don't think most are. But if you are watching this, please, for the love of all that is good and bizarre in this world, fucking track down those rights, track down a film print, get that shit scanned and release it, because this is a fucking gold mine. And hey, while you're at it, maybe release that shit on vinyl, because that soundtrack, it's magic. Thanks once again to Brian, aka All That Is Man, for once again being this month's big sponsor. He wanted some musical episodes, gave him some musical episodes. This is part 2 of 4, and we're chugging along into more musical madness next week. Very exciting, very exciting. Of course, if you would like to have your own say in what we produce here on my channel, you can also become a patron. The link is down below. $10 and up gets you in the Discord. $3 gets you early access when these are actually done on time, which not this video. And yeah, we also have merch. You can get discounts. merch is hella. Look, god damn it, fucking balls. Look at that merch. Oh yeah, you like that fat pussy. And of course, as always, like, subscribe, share this video across them social media platforms. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook and all those evil places. And until next time, go watch a movie. It's magic. Ooh.